On the morning of Valentine's Day, 1929, men dressed as police officers walked into a Chicago garage, claiming they were there to make an arrest. Inside, 7 men were ordered to line up against a wall. Then, the police pulled out machine guns and opened fire. In seconds, they were all dead. This became known as the Chicago Valentine's Day Massacre. Let's dive in. To understand how this happened, we need to look at that era. Between 1920 and 1933, the United States enforced prohibition, banning the sale of alcohol nationwide. The goal was to reduce drinking, but instead, it created a massive black market, and that market was quickly taken over by gangs. 2 powerful gangs dominated Chicago's underworld. On the north side was the North Side Gang, led by Bugs Moran. On the south side was the Chicago Outfit, controlled by Al Capone. Capone's organization ran gambling, prostitution, and bootlegging, controlling the production, distribution, and sale of illegal alcohol across the city. By this point, the North Side Gang and the Chicago Outfit were already locked in a violent gang war. Al Capone was widely believed to be behind many killings during this time, yet he never pulled the trigger himself. He stayed protected, using loyal enforcers and carefully constructed alibis that kept his hands clean. So Al Capone had a plan. On Valentine's Day, 1929, he set a trap for members of the North Side Gang, luring them with what was believed to be a deal for high-quality alcohol at cheap prices. 7 men arrived at the garage, unaware they were walking into an ambush. When they arrived around 10:30 a.m., they were met by 2 men disguised as police officers, making it look like a routine raid. The victims complied and were lined up against a wall. Then, the gunmen opened fire, killing them where they stood. Afterward, 2 of the attackers pretended to arrest the other 2, staging the scene to look legitimate. The plan worked. Neighbors and witnesses believed it was a real police operation, and by the time actual officers arrived, the gunmen were long gone. The massacre dominated newspaper headlines nationwide, with photos of the bullet-riddled wall printed across the country. The attack was meant to kill Bugs Moran, leader of the North Side Gang, but he narrowly escaped after arriving late and turning away when he believed a police raid was in progress. It was obvious who was behind the massacre, but Al Capone had an alibi. He was in Florida that day, and it worked. If one man could arrange a mass murder and avoid any charges, maybe you could hit the subscribe button. Either way, federal authorities began pursuing him more aggressively than ever. In 1931, they finally got him, not for murder, but for tax fraud. Capone was sent to prison, and when he was released in 1939, years of illness had left him mentally deteriorated and physically broken. He died in 1947, never convicted for the Chicago Valentine's Day Massacre.